Ronda Rousey. She has not been seen in the wrestling world in over 2 years, but she had something to say online today at You, the Wrestling Fan. And boy, was it something. The legendary Ric Flair is done with the WWE, and he's cleared the record on why he is done with the WWE. Plus, one of the biggest stars in New Japan Pro Wrestling wants him a piece of CM Punk. Kenta calling out CM Punk. We'll get into all of it today on Sportskeeda Wrestling's top story of the day. Share the link or you stink. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out, everybody. What's up? I'm KevCom. That is Jose_G_official. If you were with us for the first time, not the last time, go ahead and share the link so you don't stink. That's something we say. We say it because it rhymes, but it's also so you remember it. And also do the little due diligence of subscribing to our Sportskeeda Wrestling channel. Just peaking past 19,000 subscribers. So awesome. Bunch of different content up there. Top 5 videos. We just dropped a bunch of special interviews last week. Big E, Dolph Ziggler, Natalia. And we're going to put up some audio on our podcast feed. We're just going to put up the Cody Rhodes audio in just a little bit. That just dropped. So you guys can check all that out. So a lot to get into. A lot of news today. Ronda Rousey just shook up our entire run sheet just minutes before we went on air today. She has not been seen in WWE in quite some time. Headlined WrestleMania 35, the first women's main event of WrestleMania. And she had a lot to say, specifically about Bray Wyatt and mostly about the fans. She went off on the fans today.
She sure the hell did. And this literally happened maybe less than an hour ago. And Ronda Rousey put up a tweet saying, pretty much calling all WWE fans idiots. And I'm going to read the tweet out. She said, quote, "I've seen you same fans chanting 'We want Wyatt' last night, chanting 'We want beach balls' over Bray Wyatt performing. If WWE treated him like he was expendable, it was because you were ungrateful." Wow. That is wow. And the tweet already has over 4,000 likes, over 740 retweets. And this is, again, this was posted at 5:16. So this is still going to gain a lot of traction. But this is something that just kind of came out of left field. The last person you would probably think of is having Ronda Rousey, say something just because, she's going through her pregnancy. She's kind of minding her own business. But yet again, she comes out, puts a shocker on Twitter, and Twitterati or the IWC is not liking it.
I know, man. It is certainly interesting to see her say that. She's had a combative feeling with the wrestling fans for definitely since she left. It looked like it was like that when she was leaving, when she was saying, I'm not leaving to have a kid. It's no one's business. And how can fans say that? And how can the wrestling world treat me like that? And then she does go and have a child, which is fine. It's her protocol. That's her life. We don't know what her contract status is currently with WWE. I understand she's still under a deal with them of some kind. And there's still some good terms, but she just does not like wrestling fans and did not mind being a heel on her way out there. Certainly she moved the needle for WWE, and everyone who is critical of her, you can still credit her, especially if you're a fan of women's wrestling, where she brought a lot of attention, a lot of new eyeballs to it, a lot of credibility to it. If you're with us for the first time, we are covering this story here with Ronda Rousey going off on wrestling fans in the wake of Bray Wyatt's release. And this tweet is quite alarming. I think if you're really mad about this tweet, like we have somebody like Leonard Bowen saying Ronda is worthless anyways. Is she really worthless? She headlined a stadium. I don't think that's worthless. All right. She's one of the most popular female athletes of all time that transcends wrestling and brought a lot of new eyeballs to it. That doesn't sound worthless. And of course he's Amanda Nunes fan. So that's probably why he's bringing it up. All right. So a bunch of that stuff here. And then we have other people agreeing with it here. Marquis saying amen, kind of calling out some fans here. This is something I've done for a long time. There's a lot of fans who say one thing and then do another. And suddenly are all about this thing and then suddenly turn on it very quickly and have no problem disrupting a show. I can talk to you about fans disrupting a show. I was at WWE Raw last night in Chicago. We'll talk about it.
Please tell us a little bit about, since we're talking about the fans disrupting and she's calling out the fans. You were part of it. Let's hear a little bit about your experience yesterday.
The idea that the show was hijacked Did you see this? A lot of people saying Raw got hijacked.
That was barely a hijack. You've heard
Bingo.
hijacks before.
It was
That was
not.
barely a hijack.
It was not. And if you're saying that, you're fooling yourself. You're trying to hear something that isn't there. You're the kid who goes to the fight in your school that just wants to see the fight happen and wants to see it to be the most epic fight by two kids in your school, and they're fighting. But when the fight isn't that big, you still tell people the fight was big. That's what this is.
Yo, did just catch that fight? Yo, he got knocked out.
Did you hear them say we want Wyatt? Did you hear them say it? Like, and in Chicago they're gonna see CM Punk because CM Punk's from Chicago, and they're dude, there was some CM Punk shot. Like, here's the thing: I've been to Chicago shows where that absolutely happens, and they're definitely trying to disrupt the show. You've seen those Raw after WrestleManias when they went. There was one like 10 years ago with like Sheamus and Orton in the ring, and the crowd like completely took over the match, and the beach balls and stuff like that. That's what she's talking about. That's what she's saying. She's saying you're jaded and you don't respect the actual performers if you're going to go ahead and try and hijack the show because you don't respect the story they're trying to tell enough. If you don't care, don't say anything. If you want to boo it, fine. Are you booing the characters or anything like that? So I can tell you for a fact I was at the Raw show. It was fine. I've been to shows I think were quite better than that, but I didn't think it was the worst show in the world. There were some parts that were less interesting than others. Main event was really, really cool. Charlotte was really, really neat. Nikki Ash could be a little bit more over, but she's getting there. I'm on board with it. Charlotte's one of the best heels in the business. I tweeted that out. She is a masterful person in front of the audience. I say this. She has the best promo of any of the female superstars right now in WWE. And there's no one who's doing what she's doing, pivoting, getting all these different storyline points in, people trying to interrupt her with a Becky chant. I sold out the Allstate Arena. She's not here tonight. And like that line was perfect.
Just shut them up real quick, too.
And the crowd loves it. Loves it. Big working class town like Chicago. We're like, bring it, dude. If you can do that, then we respect you a lot. So it wasn't the worst show. I've seen better shows. People pop for Goldberg. The Goldberg chants were legit. It was a thumbs in the middle show for me overall, though. I thought there was some more to be desired in the middle of the show. And some things that were just right there just didn't go over the hump, And I think people, we've gotten John Cena the past few weeks. There was no John Cena, no Randy Orton. People really wanted Randy Orton to come out there tonight. And he just didn't show up. We don't know when we're going to get him.
It almost felt like there was supposed to be a setup there, but we didn't get it. Yeah. I'm going to be on Raw next Monday here in Orlando. Cena's scheduled to be there. I don't know.
You're going to get him at Monday Raw. I'm going to be pissed.
But I think because he's being advertised at the show, so we're probably going to get Cena. Maybe we get Orton in Orlando. I don't know.
Lee Miller following this up here when fans try to take over a show and WWE superstars can flip this, and I just mentioned Charlotte, great example of it. He goes, the crowd took over the match at Money in the Bank with Charlotte and Becky, with the Becky shouts, Becky chants, and it turned out to be arguably the best match. That was Rhea Ripley and Charlotte in a feud that a lot of people were not super interested in. I mean, respect the players, but the storyline has been done, right? And they get in the ring, there's those Becky chants, and you and I talked about this. They flipped that entire thing and had an incredible match and a match probably better than the WrestleMania match they had together. And I absolutely love that. I love what Charlotte, someone saying Charlotte Flair sucks. Yeah, that's the idea, bud. You're supposed to hate her. Like, all right, you're not supposed to love her. And the fact that you say something means that you're in. The hook's in your mouth, pal. All right, whether or not you like it. Oh, no, I don't like her as a person and a character. She looks good. Yeah, well, guess what? You're on board. You got sold. And you're angry and you're saying something about it. So you took the bait here. So definitely some other noteworthy things. Goldberg was over. That was worth it. Nia Jax got busted open. That looked pretty brutal live. Overall, pretty solid Monday Night Raw. I've been to better Raws, but I've been to shows that are worse than this. I've been to shows that weren't as good as this.
Yeah. I mean, not every show is going to be the best show ever, but it's still Monday Night Raw. It's still broadcast.
I was hoping we would get a pay-per-view, but I noticed when we were the one show that didn't have John Cena on it, that it was like, oh, okay, all right. Like they need to give him the week off and all the different stuff here. And obviously people just joined us. This Ronda ripping on fans, though, kind of parlaying into fans taking over shows. And also Ronda kind of addressing some of those things that came up last night. As I said, they didn't take over the show like people would say. But what do you think? The backlash has been pretty big for Ronda here. It's been pretty significant.
Ronda's going to do Ronda. If anyone trolls Twitter really well, it's Ronda Rousey. She's going to call it like she sees it. There's going to be people that hate her. There's going to be people that like her. I honestly do not have a problem with her. But let's see. I don't think she's going to get canceled for this. But she's just calling it out like it is, just like you do, and just like we do here every single day here at the Top Story when we have to call it out.
Exactly.
Call it out.
We're gonna call it out, dude. We're gonna call it out. Let's talk about Ric Flair here. This Ric Flair situation coming together. Ric Flair is done with the WWE, and the circumstances of it are quite transparent here. And he kind of clarified a little bit more with the statement today.
Yes, you're absolutely right about that, Kevin. So, yesterday we found out the huge bombshell about through wrestling that they reported that Flair had asked for his release and was later granted his release. Well, today we find out that Ric Flair is willing to talk, and he put out a tweet earlier today regarding this whole release situation, saying, quote, "I am officially able to respond to all the press related to my request release from WWE, which they have given me. I want to make it really clear with everyone that I am not upset with WWE at all. They solely are responsible for putting me in the position of life that I am in right now, where I'm seen in the brightest light ever. We have a different vision for my future. I wish them nothing but continued success. Thank you for everything. Nothing but respect." So no animosity here that we can see from the good old nature boy Ric Flair, but this gives them a lot of liberty now. And there's been already a lot of chatter online, people saying, are we going to get a 4 Horsemen reunion on AEW? Mm-hmm. Is that going to happen? Too soon to tell right now, but it'll be very interesting. Maybe we can push hard to get a Ric Flair interview here with Dr. Chris Featherstone here on Sportskeeda.
It'll certainly be interesting to see how this comes together. Is Ric Flair going to show up in AEW? I don't know if Rick Lee needs to show up in AEW. I don't know if every time someone leaves WWE, you have to say they're going to show up in AEW. And I also don't know if AEW has exactly the bandwidth to include a lot more people, even with everything they're doing, even with another hour of television. I just don't think it's particularly there at the moment. So they're going to be busy. It's going to be cool. Rick will do a lot of different things. I just don't think he wants to be an on-screen character. They're going to do storylines with him at his age where he's not wrestling that he doesn't find compelling. That's fine, and we're going to have people that are going to text in and say, hate WWE. Well, I mean, hating WWE is the coolest thing you can do in wrestling, apparently, right now, if the internet tells you the truth. I saw
a really great comment
Rick,
here.
He said a very classy thing. Like, it's not for me anymore. I'm not going to be able to do things I want to do. I'm not wrestling anymore. I want to be a certain type of character. There isn't anything for me to do that I think is compelling, and I don't want to stick around and do that stuff. And I don't like the other stuff they're doing either. But I'm also a huge, much bigger star because I wrestled in the WWE, and so I think it's fine. Not everything has to be this like tumultuous, like flip the bird, screw you. If it isn't always that way. And I know it would be more compelling. James says WWE hates you back. So it isn't. Maybe it's not interesting. Maybe it's not provocative to say like it's always this tumultuous, dramatic thing. But that isn't the case.
Yeah, and I think that's where we're at right now in the internet wrestling community. We're always expecting some type of huge negative news so we can really rant about it and really go off on it.
Sure.
And this is not the case here. This is something that Ric Flair just felt like he just didn't want to be there anymore, just wanted to do his own thing. And you know what? Vince McMahon was like,
he's going to do endorsements for Car Shield.
Like I said yesterday on the show, he's got plenty of stuff lined up. He's got the Car Shield deal. He's got the hip-hop collaborations with Migos and all the other stuff. He's probably collecting royalties from Spotify from that, right? But
he should be.
He's gonna be fine. There's a song named after him, the Ric Flair Drip, okay?
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be fine. Ric Flair's going to be fine.
So let me see Daniel Cox saying, let me see Ryan right out of WB, jet flying into AEW. Guys, like think about it. Where does he go in the show?
He's all elite.
And I'm not saying he can't show up there, but like, what do you do with him? And then also, here's the part that you may not like either. He goes there. Who goes down? Malachi Black is suddenly in a program with Cody Rhodes. Who was supposed to be in that program with Cody Rhodes if Malachi Black wasn't there? Notice how the QT Marshall thing kind of just got done. Like, all right, we did 2 matches on this. Now it's done. All right, done. All right, fine finish with it on television, right? But done, over with. Didn't even get a match on pay-per-view, right? Over with. They did the Anthony Ogogo thing. I guess it was part of the angle, right? But that's over with. All right. And then now it's Malachi Black in from WWE. Adam Hangman Page is out of the main event.
He's out.
Of
That's
AEW
a big swerve.
All Out. Your in-house guy that you've built up for a while is not going to have the big comeback and take the title off Kenny Omega scene. And you got reportedly Daniel Bryan and CM Punk coming over from WWE, or at least Daniel Bryan is, right?
It's too much.
Yeah. So a lot of your faves going to move down the card. All right. So it's just, I mean, so like if you have some favorites now in AEW, the problems that you have with WWE of like, how come they aren't doing anything with this guy? You're going to have those same complaints in a few months. And that isn't like a shot at AEW. That's just the way it is. That's just the circumstances of the business. That's the business part. All right. So it's going to happen. And I'm going to see some of you complain in a few weeks.
There's only so much TV time you can get these guys on for, especially if you have a deep roster like AEW currently has right now. So it's going to be hard for them. It's going to be hard for them. But let's jump into our next story here.
Let's get it.
Speaking of AEW, with all the rumors and speculation of CM Punk heading over to All Elite Wrestling, there's a huge New Japan Pro Wrestling star calling out CM Punk. One Kenta is calling out CM Punk. I remember a few years ago during an interview that CM Punk said that he actually stole the GTS from Kenta, right?
Mm-hmm.
And today, Kenta goes on Twitter and he says, "Give me CM Punk. This is personally a dream match for me, Kevin. Can you see it happening with the forbidden door busted wide open?"
Yes. Yes, I can.
This gives me tingles. This gives me goosebumps.
This lines up with things that Punk would want to do, or at least has expressed that he wants to do, and wrestle people he's never wrestled before but wants to wrestle. Yeah, Darby Allin kind of addressing his catchphrase last week on television. It's all but known he's going there, right? And here's the thing. I can go back to being at Mama Rose's restaurants about 3 blocks away from the Frontier Fieldhouse in 2006, WrestleMania weekend. And Ring of Honor did their double shot. They were in 2 nights. This is the first time like wrestling all kind of centered around WrestleMania. It wasn't just like everybody. So I'm there and I'm with the Rumble Radio podcast. That's how long I've been doing wrestling media stuff, right? And I'm there and we were invited to hang out, but we said like, hey, if you record anything, it's not any interviews, it's just like IDs or anything like that. Just like simple little audio things, nothing on camera. All right, so we're just hanging out and it would just be like people doing shout outs for the show. No interviews, just goof stuff, right? For like 20, 30 seconds. Very informal. And we thought about talking to Kenta, but he was with a group of guys who were there from Dragon Gate Wrestling. And Kenta and people put wrestling on the TVs at the restaurant. And some wrestlers were joking around like, you guys just watch 4 hours of live wrestling. And there's wrestlers in the bar and there's fans in the bar and there's people from the promotion. People are just joking about whatever's wrestling is on. People are just all goofing about whatever the wrestling is. It was lucha. And then some people put WWE on. Of course, all the Ring of Honor fans go, "Ooh, we're going to watch WWE tomorrow," even though they're all going to WrestleMania, right? And like, I can't remember if Punk was on or something like that. Somebody put some old Ring of Honor on, and CM Punk is very synonymous with Ring of Honor. At this point, I believe he's already under contract with WWE, maybe. Because it's 05, right? He signed Summer of Punk is 05. And someone in the room, and it isn't CM Punk on the screen, someone in the room brings up GTS to Kenta. And Kenta's there. And Kenta was speaking with everyone. And he's kind of just being pleasant. And he's having a drink. And he goes, "Stole my move." And everyone was like laughing about it. And he goes, "Stole my move." He's like, "Real asshole." And then he just walked away. And he just walked, but he was just playing around, right? And so that happened a lifetime ago when I had hair.
We all had hair at one point, Kevin.
Oh no, bald is beautiful, brother. Bald is beautiful. Hulk Hogan told us. So I just remember that moment. I was just, and immediately everyone's like, "Oh, that'd be a cool match." But you know what I mean? You're still a hardcore fan. You're still a fan at heart that you want to see something like that. And this is a possibility with this cabal that AEW has put together of just Impact and New Japan. I mean, you even had like Impact running graphics on screen with all the company's logos together. And I think all those forces are going to align. I think you're going to see more of these companies collaborate together. Cody talked about that today a bit. He alluded to some things. He was asked on the media call, which just dropped on our podcast feed. If you haven't subscribed, go get it. And he says, like, someone asked him about a stadium show, and he said, like, oh, it would be more akin to what we were doing with All In and special events. And All In was this like Woodstock of wrestling, like all these different people coming together. And then eventually that became All Elite Wrestling. And now, yes, we want to do something like that. And so I was like, oh, okay. And if CM Punk's a part of the picture, Daniel Bryan's a part of the picture, they just sold out the United Center yesterday. That was 20,000 tickets.
Crazy.
Technically they're running a stadium with Arthur Ashe. So, he noted that as well, but he's like, I know the difference. And he point blank said, this is an alarming part too. He said this, Miller Park in Milwaukee. he just like shouted out a venue. And he's like, kind of like, that's like in between, but also kind of intimate. I was like, that's still like a lot of people.
It is a lot. How many people does that seat?
It's a baseball stadium. It's Milwaukee Brewers.
Oh yeah.
So yeah. It's got to be over 25, right? It's got to be over 20. That's a low end, right? So, and also the production of that, like what would that look like? And then you got to get people in the field. So now you're doing like 30, so it's a lot of people. It's a lot of people. It's a big destination show. So some big things if you're an AEW fan, especially if you get this Kenta CM Punk match where that could happen, or does that happen in New Japan? I'm inclined to think that that's a match that New Japan would want.
I think that's more likely to happen. That way, nobody's like kind of butthurt about that. New Japan gets it. And I think that match will get tons of views. You could do that at Dominion. You could do that at Wrestle Kingdom. I don't know. The possibilities are endless, but I think I would love to see that match in Japan.
I think so too. And also this would give him the opportunity to do one of those big Tokyo Dome matches, but mind you, that's not a match you're going to see until like January then. But, New Japan, despite all the struggles with COVID, which is a very different situation right now in Japan and the Olympics and the surge they're having, they've been trying to run the Tokyo Dome. They ran the Tokyo Dome a few weeks ago, and they did it with limited capacity and all these different things. And, Kota Ibushi had to pull out of it, and he was their champion. So they're dealing with a lot of problems. I don't know if that's something that, Punk's going to want to rush into. And what's the quarantine like and stuff like that now? I think if that does happen, that doesn't happen until sometime next year.
Yeah, no, it's going to take time for that's a high caliber match right there. Got a lot of name recognition. So you got to give it time to build it up. But yeah, I think definitely more than a year. Reading some of your comments here, Search One on YouTube saying AEW is fastly becoming WCW/TNA. If Flair shows up along with Punk and Bryan, sorry, but they'll have never been the alternative, and the OG roster will be a distant memory, and diehard AEW fans won't care.
So you don't think they would care if a bunch of people from another company came over and they're suddenly not AEW guys? They're just other people there?
I don't know. I just feel like because they are bringing so many WWE guys, and I think the hardcore AEW is going to be like, oh god, another WWE guy. Guys, you guys forget that WWE was like the only player for like 25 years. So there's going to be
TNA was there, guys. Ring of Honor was there, New Japan was there. Everyone says they're the only player. I think they were the only prominent player on national television. I think
that's the right way to say it.
And also another thing that's worth noting is money. There's a lot of money. The Khans have a lot of money invested in this, and they had a lot of upfront money. This wasn't like we need to build up capital from within and then go out and do what TNA basically had to do, was become a television rights property, and like that's what they're doing. Whereas AEW, certainly television rights is their major moneymaker, right? But it was also like, we have a merchandise partner right away with Pro Wrestling Tees. We're selling a ton of merch right away. We're selling a ton of tickets right away. We're doing all these different things because Tony Khan came in with this business expertise from a whole other avenue that was very parallel in sports and entertainment. And then also you had the timing and the momentum of everything happening with independent wrestling and these guys becoming loose from Ring of Honor, and Ring of Honor not being able to tie those guys down to a deal. I think Ring of Honor is still reeling from all those guys leaving at the same time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They are, but that's the name of the game, man. That's how it works. That's how the cookie crumbles, like Jim Carrey says.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. It's certainly interesting to say the least. And we're going to get a lot of interesting things in the next few weeks. Think about this. We have that AEW Rampage show August 20th. The night after, we have SummerSlam. All right. You know, SummerSlam's going to have some interesting stuff on it.
Then
and then we're going to have a takeover.
And
then we're going to have a takeover that Sunday. So that's going to be, we're going to have a lot of angry girlfriends and boyfriends who are not wrestling fans.
We're probably not going to see nothing but wrestling for 5 days straight because it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Raw, and NXT, then Dynamite. So, yeah, we got 7 straight days of wrestling next week coming up SummerSlam weekend. So I'm going to need some time off after this, Kevin.
It never ends.
It never ends.
All right.
The cycle never ends, guys.
All right. So once again, definitely check out our YouTube channel, Just Peeking Past 19,000. Check out our podcast channel as well. A lot of exciting stuff coming from Sportskeeda Wrestling. Also, if you haven't done it already, go ahead and download the Sportskeeda app, which is available on all of your major internet stores, where you Apple, all those different things. We also have an SK-specific wrestling app. So you look SK Wrestling if you just want SK Wrestling. But if you download the Sportskeeda app, it's really great, especially if you want to keep track of the Olympics. You get the medal count in there, which is really, really cool. You get everything, and then you get all of our WWE content as well. A lot of content to check out from us. Thank you guys so much for supporting everything. Go ahead.
Quick side note. Did you happen to watch the men's Greco-Roman heavyweight wrestling final?
No, but I heard about it. What happened?
So the Cuban guy, Lopez, 4 straight gold medals in freestyle, Greco-Roman, dude, all the wrestling categories. This Cuban guy swept everyone, man. This guy is huge. 38 years old, 6'5", 265. The guy looks like he can be in AEW or WWE. Check him out. Cuban competitor, Lopez, unbelievable. Sorry, got to get my plug in for the Olympics.
All right, no,
Latinos representing, bro, in wrestling.
Definitely, dude. Definitely, some people getting suplexed here. It's not like we haven't seen an Olympian go and become a big professional wrestling star before.
That's right.
Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. We hope you're having a good time. We hope you're staying safe, wearing your mask. Get your shots, everybody. Get your shots.
Get it.
All right, there you go. Chop the old bicep right there. Get a shot. Jose G, you are busy with Ricans of Wrestling. Tell them when they can get that.
So we got Ricans of Wrestling coming up Thursday night, 8 p.m. on YouTube and on Facebook. This weekend, we have Pro Wrestling Action. Some of the wrestlers are going to be on there. Still don't know exactly who's going to be on the show, but I know I am interviewing someone. So check us out. We're going to be there Thursday night. And then you guys can catch me every afternoon here on the Top Story on Sportskeeda Wrestling, and every day on our YouTube channel with the news roundup every single day. Because it never stops, Kevin. It never stops.
It never stops. But as Howard is texting in, who knows the sign-off phrase that we do at the end of every show, he tells me I have to say it. Say it. Say the line. Say the thing that you're supposed to say.
Hey, Kevin, when you're watching wrestling, what's the most important thing to do?
Oh, wait. I had to wait in line for the food, and I had to get the tickets, and I had to get to the show. I got to enjoy wrestling.